Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod. We have Zack Dugow with us today. He's founder and CEO at the Cool Company. So you can check him out at cool.co. I believe Adventory, Instigator, OKO Digital, Cool Media, and Ballyholt are his company or part of his portfolio. He's hiring. Has been 5-time Inc. 5000, so quite the accomplishment right there, and 2-time Deloitte Fast 500. So quite the accomplished guy right there. Zack, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Yeah, good to be here, Charles. So as you mentioned, I'm founder and CEO of the Cool Company, and you mentioned some of our subsidiary names. We're actually, in the next 2 weeks, kind of getting rid of all the subsidiary names, and everything is just going to be a product function under the Cool Company, where we specialize in doing dynamic creative optimization for different brands, where we use data to customize advertising for big customers like Air France and Disneyland and Nissan and many others, where we do managed service media and attribution, a lot of CTV attribution for customers like Acer Computers and Subaru, where we also then have a supply side platform for big publishers like chess.com or the PGA Tour and many others, where the media buys through that. And we have first-party data capture tools like trivia polling, commenting for publishers. So we acquire these different companies because they all work well together and help act and benefit each other for our different customers and partners. And
Right.
Be here, Charles.
Yeah, tell me about your background. I know you started in psychology, but how were you built that way? You know, because you look like quite the performance machine. Like, tell me about your background.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I studied psychology. That was a very long time ago, I guess. But yeah, my background is I started a company out of college that did internet ticketing for food and liquor brands. I kind of dove right into business, and I always found psychology to be the study of people, and business is really just the interaction of people, in my view, in a lot of different ways, the expression of people in different ways, no matter what the business is, quite often. And so we started out doing internet ticketing for food and liquor brands with a technology platform that supported that. And then I started, and then we sold that company at the end of 2011 and started Instigator, which became the Cool Company in 2012. And have grown and scaled it over the last 13 years, including the 4 acquisitions we've made, which has been exciting and brought me all over the world, from France, where we have a big team, to Australia, where we have a team, to the UK, where we have a team, to India, Singapore, all over the globe. It's been, I guess, one of the main exciting things about my life.
And why are you so driven? Like, do you have a chip on your shoulder? What's the fire burning in you?
God, that's such a good question. I think, yes, that's a part of it. When I was younger, that was one of the things that was very driven, was like being counted out and proving people wrong. But I think as time has gone on, you know, there will always be a part of that. That's for me. That's a part of my personality. But other things drive me forward now, seeing people grow and excel. But I would definitely say in the early days, that was probably 90%. And then, you know, as I've grown, now being motivated by a multi-factor of things, having an impact on our customers' lives that are beneficial, the friendships I've made, so wanting to, you know, deliver great results for friends I've made in our industry, as well as, you know, being excited to see team members of mine learn and grow in their careers, see them take on new responsibilities. So certainly it started that way and then really morphed into something very different over time.
And what does a day in your life look like?
I wake up.
Oh, you do?
Sorry?
You do? You wake up?
Wow. You know, what are the odds of that? I wake up.
That's weird.
Do a lot of people do that? So
good for you.
Yeah, I know. I'm a lucky guy. So sometimes I'll work out in the mornings, or sometimes I'll do the end of the day. If I work out in the mornings, then I'll work out. I'll take my dog, Barry, for a run. Here, Barry, say hi. This is my dog, Barry.
Hey, Barry. Is it a little boy?
It's a boy.
Nice. Yeah. Good.
I'll take him for a walk if I'm working from home that day. Then I typically have meetings and calls and work that's done for 9-10 hours, depending on the day, because a lot of times my day could start early because we have team members in Europe. And so that might start with a call with our UK team or our France team or otherwise, or may end with a late call with our Australia team. So, and then I'll have meetings during the day. I travel a lot. So I'm in between, New York and Miami often, or different conferences. I'll be at the Cannes conference in France in June. So I'll be visiting our team in Paris in June as well. So a lot of travel. So my day in the life is, eating, working out, hanging with my dog, and then rinse and repeat, if you will.
And how do you maintain that brain of yours? What's your learning regimen nowadays?
I'm very big into podcasts. So I really like the All In podcast.
Yeah.
That's one. I like Scott Galloway's podcast as well. I really like listening to podcasts. I like reading books. So I have some favorite business books I like to read when I'm flying. And I would say that's probably, I used to listen to music most of the time when I work out. Now, most of the time I listen to podcasts.
Tell me about your secret sauce to get on the Inc. 5000 list and twice on the Deloitte Fast 500, which is no jokes. Like, what's your secret recipe?
I think if you had to really break it down to like its nut and core, like I'd love to say something like we had this amazing vision from the beginning, but that's not the case. We had an idea and then we had to pivot that idea multiple times and define a success. So I think the core was getting started and then being unwilling to quit in spite of what seemed like insurmountable challenges and running out of money in the early days and trying to figure out product market fit and just not giving up and having pure grit and determination, because then that led us to each new stage of success. So that was very much, the growth and evolution of the business and what helped us get to Deloitte Fast 500 and the Inc. 5000 and other accolades like that.
Do you believe in raising capital? I believe you did, right? For most of your company, never go bootstrap.
Yeah, so we were bootstrapped in the very early days, for sure. I put my own money in to get the business started, and we've raised around 18 million or so till date. I do believe in raising capital, and I think that may change in the future, because I think over the next coming years, you'll need a lot less people to build really amazing technology products with the way that AI is developing. You'll still need people, but you probably will need less. So, so definitely I believe in raising capital, because at times you may need to, depending what industry you're in, get a product to a certain position in order for it to be effective in the market. And that can require resources, but doesn't have to. So it really depends on the business. So I'd say I believe in raising capital if that's like what the business would require to be successful. I don't believe in raising it for the sake of raising it. I think in raising it if that's going to be needed in order to really develop something special.
Yeah, to scale. So once you have product market fit, how do you crack the chicken and egg problem of product market fit, like building a great product for the perfect audience?
I think you've got to drill down on something really specific and have it be even a part of a smaller market, if you will, or some subset of a market that you're really going to nail, instead of having like kind of a broader vision. It's like, meaning instead of saying, okay, great, I'm going to create a great product for the insurance industry, maybe you're like, all right, I'm going to build a great product for reinsurance companies in the state of New York who reinsure between $50 and $150 million. And their need is they don't have a big enough tech team to automate paperwork application. So for them, this is a big problem. So I think nailing a specific group of customers, even if your product is really specific, and then you can broaden it, is I think a much better approach than coming at a broad market with just like a broad solution. I think it's better to try to have a more specific customer problem that you're solving, that you really craft your solution around.
You also mentioned that you would be putting everything under one umbrella. What's your brand strategy here? You seem to be pretty good at it. Why does the one umbrella pivot comes into play?
So what we did is, and we sort of staggered it, meaning when we launched our parent company, the Cool Company, we've still kept all the subsidiary names, and the game plan was to keep that for about around a year. So people would associate, for example, one of our subsidiaries like Ballyhoo with the parent company, the Cool Company. And now there's been enough time and overlap that we can now get rid of the subsidiary names, and the brand equity has been built into the parent company. See, if we had just gone in and said, great, everything's under the Cool Company now, our specific customers would have been like confused in each of the specific markets. But because they've had a year of overlap where they're like, okay, Ballyhoo is a part of the Cool Company. Oh, OKO. Oh, Insticator is a part of the Cool Company. Now, when they only see the Cool Company brand, they remember what it associates to. And now we can really leverage that by also now kind of integrating ourselves as one company. So I think that the overlap helped us. And now there's enough that's been built in now, the naming across all the subsidiaries, that we can get rid of the subsidiary names, and people and the customers have had time to like become familiar with it.
You mentioned grit when we started the episode. What's your recipe for that? Do you don't have anything, just like keep going through, or do you have like a stack to diminish the stress as a CEO when shit hits the fan?
Absolutely. A bunch of things. One, exercise. The second is, it depends if you're at a phase in your business where you can join something like YPO or EO, I highly recommend them, because you want to have a group of people. It's very lonely to be the CEO. You're making a lot of tough decisions. And so to have a group of peers whose only agenda is to help you. So I have a really fantastic YPO forum, shout out to them, where we can go to each other with big problems, whether it's, acquiring companies, scaling, challenges, issues, letting people go, all the different things that are really challenging. So as you're talking about, having people to talk to is extremely helpful. So if you're at an earlier stage, something like EO could be better, because I think you only need to have $1 million in revenue to qualify for EO. I think for YPO, it might be 14 or 15 million in revenue. So having that group of peers, I think, is extremely helpful. I also recommend therapy as well if you don't have something like that, but you need to have an outlet of people to talk to. Otherwise, I unfortunately have seen a lot of people who then have unhealthy ways that they release their stress. That stress, no matter who you are, you could be the greatest CEO on the planet, you're going to have that, because you're going to have highs and lows. You're going to have big roller coasters and swings. So you need to try to find some kind of an outlet, whether that's what I mentioned, like peers and working out. For me, it's also yoga. I love yoga. Yoga really helps me de-stress, ground myself. And you got to find those things that you love that help you prevent feeling super exhausted or burnt out.
Right. Yeah. During COVID, I feel a bunch of CEOs and founders turned to alcohol, to deal with these issues. You mentioned peer groups. How can you be a good peer group member? Is it just putting all your cards on the table, asking the right question, listening? How can you be a better peer group member?
One, yes, you have to be brave to put your cards on the table, because there's always an initial concern of like, oh, well, I'd be looked at as less successful if I mention some problem I'm dealing with. And so you need to build that trust. That's one. The other is you can be forward in asking people, because you'll feel who's like super stressed. So you can be a good peer group member by being like, hey, Jennifer, are you doing okay? Like let's talk. It's totally judgment free and it's super confidential. And I think having those relationships is really important. So being open on the table, you don't have to paint everything like everything's always amazing all the time, like you might with different, with customers or vendors or the outside world. You need to be real with that peer group and have them so they can be helpful to you. That's what I found.
Right. What's next for you as a CEO this year? What challenges are you facing, and what are your top goals?
I think one is there's a lot of unpredictability in the market right now. We saw a lot of ups and downs with tariffs and what's going to happen, and like uncertainty makes it that difficult to plan. So we still plan and execute, but we leave room for like adjustments based on the marketplace. And we have big goals that we're doing on the machine learning side and the AI side with our technology, which I think is really exciting and can be really a big level up for a lot of our customers. And at the same time, it's interesting because I think people want to see AI, but they're also still a little scared of it because they are still worried mistakes will happen and so on, which are totally fair concerns. So those are two kind of our big areas where we're very, where I'm very, we're watching very closely market conditions as we've been growing and scaling, and excited about that, and a lot of the exciting innovation that we've been doing on the artificial intelligence side.
Tell me about this AI stuff that you're working on. What feature specifically? What part of this tech stack?
Yeah, so a lot of dynamic creative optimization businesses focus on data from advertisers. But what we can do, because we also have what are called supply side relationships, is imagine data that shapes a creative based on the data that comes in from like Nissan, the car company, and the way that we shape the creative, but also from like which publishing site it shows on or which connected TV channel. So now we could take signals, say it's going to show on PGA Tour, and there's an article about playing golf with your family, and the creative changes based on data from the advertiser and from the supply side. So I'm very excited about that because I think that's unique to us, but also drives a lot of then conversion value for our customers, helps them sign up more customers, which is really what advertising is. Advertising is buying revenue. You're a business, you're buying revenue. You're like, okay, great. I want to spend X amount of dollars to get X amount of new people signing up for my product or service.
Right. And tell me about the GTM side of things. How do you sign up all these big clients?
We've got a really great sales team. We spend a lot of time at conferences, building a lot of strong in-person relationships, and we put out a lot of like case studies and white papers. That's really our main focus, is those three areas. We don't do as much on like the cold calling, cold outreach side. We do some of that, but it's much more focused on like account-based marketing and like very focused outreach. And so otherwise, it's very much focused around sales team relationships, conferences from like Possible and Cannes and FCXE and many others, and Big Boss in France and others. And then also like very focused outreach.
Right. Last but not least, with the AI revolution going on right now, do you still think you'll hire superhumans in your team, or you'll outsource mostly to AI agents in the next couple of years?
No, I still think there's going to be superhumans for sure. But I think that the work that's being done, that's very manual, very repeatable, that is like, doesn't really require a human to do that. We have a lot of ways we're going to be able to optimize and scale there to drive a lot of efficiencies across the board, which will be very helpful for us.
Right. Zack, thanks for coming on today. Where can people find out more about you?
Really simple. Go to cool.co, COOL.co.
Zack and Joe.